Saffron, I understand that you and your family, your sisters, they all rallied around your grandparents when they were trying to navigate the internet for the first few times. What year was that, and what was it like watching them?
I think it was 2009 when my grandparents learned to use the internet. They were both about 80 years old, and their main reason for wanting to get online was we have relatives that live in Ireland. We have a younger cousin, he's about 5 years old, and they were upset that they weren't there seeing him grow up, so they decided to get online so that they could Skype with him every day. So they started, Skyping with him while he ate his dinner at night. My uncle would bring his iPhone to soccer games, to piano lessons, so they could watch him as he was growing up via Skype. And it was just incredible for them to be able to do that.
What were some of their fears at first, and what were some of the things that delighted them, aside from being able to see someone face to face almost through a computer screen?
I think with most seniors, it's scary getting online, especially if you've never used a computer before. A lot of them are afraid that they're going to press a button that breaks the entire computer, and then it's done. Or they get stuck, something freezes or something's not working, and they're too afraid to figure out how to fix it. So it just sits there for weeks and weeks. So those are some of the obstacles. But yeah, the ability to connect with family, even with family that doesn't live that far away. I mean, we live an hour away from our grandparents, but having them on Facebook and Skype, they were just able to look more deeply into our lives, and it made us a lot closer with them.
So then from that experience, I believe your two sisters began their own sort of organization to help other seniors. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, they wanted to help other seniors get online. So my two sisters started going to a local retirement residence and giving the seniors lessons. And they started just asking their school friends, people in their classes, if they wanted to tag along. And I think there was a group of about 15 of them that would go to the retirement residence 2 days a week after school and give hour-long lessons to the seniors.
What was in it for, I'm dating myself calling them the young people, but the younger generation, the millennials or the Generation Y, people what did they feel compelled to give back to these seniors? What was the reason?
I think the main driving reason for a lot of the students who join in this program in the beginning is taking on a leadership role in their communities, which looks really great on college applications and job applications. So my sisters also did it for community service hours. They needed to get 100 community service hours in order to graduate high school. So they were looking for interesting ways to help out in their community. But I think, once the students get into it, they end up teaching for longer than they need to fulfill those 100 hours community service because they just enjoy it. I mean, it's fun, and I think they start to realize they really like helping out in their community, and this is something that comes naturally to them. So it's not a difficult thing for them to do, to give these computer lessons.
Yeah, Cyber Seniors shows such great moments between the two generations on the computer, and you did see this relationship develop amongst all of them, and it was really sweet to see how, quote, faster the younger generation was, and then the older generation was, oh, how did you do that? You make this go so fast, please, and it was great to see the relationship between the two of them. How did the seniors sign up? Like, what was their reasoning? They hear about the internet, it sounds like they were scared of it a little bit, but they were still intrigued. What was their reasoning? Did they tell you?
Yeah, I think for a lot of them, they hear so much about the internet. They say, my kids live in front of their computers, my grandkids live in front of their computers, and I don't know anything about it. I want to know a little bit more about what's going on. Definitely the driving factor for them was getting in touch with family. They see their grandkids on Facebook all the time, so they want to be on Facebook too. They want to be able to Skype with them and communicate with them.
How did you get access to these seniors? Now you're going to these retirement homes. What's your pitch to them to let you come in, not just as the program, but then eventually with the cameras?
It was pretty hard getting access to these retirement residences, actually, because they're usually part of big chains of retirement residences. So to get to the top person, it's kind of hard. We ended up getting access to 2 different retirement residences that let us film there, which was great because when we were in a retirement residence, we were able to, give lessons to 40 seniors at a time and kind of go door to door with our film crew and be able to film them. And I guess the retirement residences allowed us to do that because they loved the idea of the program. The seniors in their retirement residences were asking for computer lessons, and then for us to be able to bring in all these young people to give the lessons, I mean, they loved it.
Yeah, I love the opening shot of the film too, where you have like a walker going through the corridors, and I just think that's so great because it just really sets the tone for the film. So once you met with the seniors, how did you tell them about being on camera, and how scared were they, or actually encouraged to be, not only that they're using the internet, but now they're having this weird machine look at them with sound equipment and lights. How intimidating was that for them?
Yeah, a lot of them were intimidated by the camera, but they really quickly forgot about it. I think it's really interesting when you watch reality TV shows, you always wonder, how can people act like that on camera? But all the seniors agreed. It's kind of like you put on a microphone and the camera's there, but then you forget about it because you're just having a conversation with somebody, right? And some of them actually liked being on camera. Like Shora, our main star, I think part of the reason why she got involved was because she wanted to be in a movie. She thought that was really cool. So.
Yeah, she's definitely well positioned in front. I really enjoyed watching her. So where does the Cyber Seniors program stand now? Are your sisters still involved, and how many volunteers do you have?
My sisters are in college right now, so when they're home for summer holidays, they do go back and teach seniors lessons. So they are still involved. But for now, what we're trying to do with the Cyber Seniors program is encourage other students to bring this program to their own communities. So we have resources on our website, downloadable handbooks that you can use as like a teaching guide. And yeah, we're just trying to encourage other people to do exactly what my sisters did. It's not that difficult to kind of call around your community, figure out who wants these types of programs, retirement residences, libraries, who have senior citizens looking for these types of lessons, and you can just rally up your friends and go in and teach them.
So how many volunteers did you have in the beginning? You said, what was it, 20 or 15?
I think we had about 20 students in the beginning of our film, and we had about 30 senior citizens.
And now where does the program stand in terms of volunteers?
In the retirement residences that we are working in, I think there's about 5 students in the retirement residences.
Oh, okay. And then, so this Cyber Seniors program, is this then started through sort of your website, and then people then download all of the packages to take into their area? Is that how it is?
Yeah. So we're providing resources, but other websites provide resources as well. For example, AARP has a program called Mentor Up. So we're partnering with them. They're sponsoring a few screenings of our film to promote their own program. And it's the exact same idea. It's young people mentoring older people to learn technology.
And then what was the time frame for the actual filming of Cyber Seniors? How long did it take?
We shot over a period of 10 months, and the editing took about a year. So it was a 2-year project altogether.
And you edited the film?
Yes.
Oh, great. So what did you learn about this older generation versus the newer generation? I mean, like, what parallels did you see? I'm sure probably the need to connect, but then also what were some of the things that were complete opposite that you saw?
I think it just really opened my eyes to the idea that, life isn't over once you reach that age. These people are still totally active, totally with it, and they're having a lot of fun. Retirement age actually seems like fun to me now because they have the free time to kind of do things that they've always wanted to do. So it's a really good time in your life to be able to, take on new skills, like learning how to use the computer. And I think people that do continue learning and taking on new skills are the ones that really thrive later in life.
I'm wondering what it is that makes us resist technology as we get older. Because right now, all of us, the internet seems fine. We've kind of grown up around it. But I'm sure there'll be things in 20 years that'll seem entirely scary, whether it's a Matrix-like device or, plug in and you get certain feelings and, oh my gosh, we can't do this. But what do you think it is in us that makes us resist technology as we get older?
Well, with the seniors featured in our film, they're in their 80s and 90s, so they were out of the workforce once computers became mainstream. So they never really had to learn how to use the internet as a necessity for school or work. So it's completely new to them, and I think that that's really scary. I think when you have a basis for computer knowledge, you're able to pick up new technology easier. But still, people that are 5 years younger than me are so much faster on the internet than I am. And they know things or apps or different technological things that I can't grasp myself. And I think you can get kind of lazy. It's kind of like, no, this is my routine. I'm not going to learn anything new. But I think it's good to challenge yourself and keep learning new things and keep up to date on new technology because it's easy to fall behind.
What are some of the things that seem new to you with the internet, like different apps, or what? Can you give examples?
Well, every time a new app comes out, like there was Snapchat. Now I'm really into Snapchat. But my sisters are on Snapchat for like a year. It was before I even knew about it. Once I got on Snapchat, it was like, yeah, that's old news. We've been using that for a year. My mom is just now getting on Instagram and Snapchat. So, it's like she takes to it a little bit slower. And then once my mom's on Instagram, it's like, okay, now I need to tone down some of the photos that I'm posting on there as the older generation kind of comes in.
That's funny because that was one of the scenes between one of the volunteers and one of the women that lived in the community. Mm-hmm. I think she was in her late 70s, I think. Was it Jan?
Annette.
Oh, Annette. I'm sorry. And so she was looking at her grandchildren's photos and was like, oh, a little surprised. And the volunteers like, that's why I just had photos of me running through the meadows helping poor people, and it was great. One thing you mentioned in the film is that the older generation seems to be more reserved and doesn't want to be as boastful, where of course now it's all about promoting yourself in this new, online world. So how was that, seeing the two worlds, contrasted? The more polite, not wanting to be too forward, whereas, now anything basically goes.
Yeah. Well, again, the younger people grew up with the internet, so they're kind of used to this idea of posting their status updates, posting their photos, blasting themselves all over the internet, because everybody's doing that. So it's the norm. Whereas for older people, they're not used to it. So it seems very forward to be posting photos of yourself and adding people on Facebook who you don't even know that well in real life.
Well, I know with Annette, she also had a really excellent point, which I thought was incredibly astute of her to notice, because she wasn't very versed in Facebook, but she said, oh, adding or dropping a friend, this is where these machines, quote, her terminology, get very dangerous because people feel insulted. And the volunteer that helped, he said, oh, it's not that big a deal, because she said, oh, no, this is where it, and I wonder, do you think that connections these days maybe aren't as serious as maybe that generation where you really locked in, this is your friend, and you keep them for a long time, where things now are more transient, we're just sort of in and out, oh, let's add this person or drop them.
Well, definitely. I think that because the main reason for the seniors getting online was to connect with family, they weren't that interested in connecting with acquaintances. They weren't very interested in meeting new friends online, which a lot of young people are totally comfortable doing. It wasn't something that interested them. It was like, oh, why don't you chat with this person? Why don't we try online dating? And some of them went for it, but it never really clicked for them. It was, that's fine, that was funny and fun, but my main reason is 100% to speak with my family. But the one thing I found interesting too is that I think younger people contribute the most to web content, right? They're the ones posting YouTube videos and blogging, and the senior citizens aren't doing that. So in our film, when we did the YouTube competition, the seniors pairing up with young people to create YouTube videos, it was a really great way for the seniors to have a voice online, which I don't think they do. I mean, everything you see is posted by primarily younger people.
Right.
So we really wanted to encourage them to, post videos of what can you teach me? What can you teach the younger generation?
Right. Yeah, I mean, Shura's video was just so much fun, and I'll save that for people to watch the film. How competitive did they get with each other, or how invested did they become in these likes and comments and the views? Because people, even in their 40s that post videos, it becomes this huge thing. You want to read what people have written. You want to see how many views does it have. How did they react to that?
Some seniors got very competitive during the YouTube competition, and you'll see that in the film. And it was funny to see. I mean, Shura, gets kind of catty about the other videos, and she's constantly updating her status, looking for more views. She was loving the attention because it was her kids and grandkids who were then posting it on their Facebook going, this is my grandma, check it out. She was loving it. And some people thought, that wasn't a good thing to put in the documentary because it shows kind of the dark side of the internet, that, it can make you slightly narcissistic because you're just craving all its attention. But I just thought it showed that, she's just like anybody else. She was just like the teenagers who wanted the hits on the videos. I just thought it was kind of funny. The tables had turned.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because I saw that too, and I loved how she was always so well put together for the camera, and she's had these incredible outfits on. And it did show that maybe it's just part of human nature that we want that praise and that attention. And whether you're 89 or 15, you still want that. I thought that was a great thing. And then with the competition, what ended up happening for the people that didn't win? How did they take it? Were they able to kind of dust it off, or were they?
Yeah, there was slight disappointment. There was one video that was really popular, but it didn't win one of the top 3 prizes. It was Ellard's video, and yeah, he was a little bit upset, which I didn't expect because he didn't care that much about the competition while it was going on. Then we were announcing winners, and you see his face drop. It was a little bit sad. But he knew he had a great video. It still has, some of the most hits of all the videos that we have posted online. So,
how did you choose the seniors to be in the doc? Because you just have the most lovable, I want to take them home and have them be my grandparents. How did you choose them? I'm sure there's probably some that you couldn't use for whatever reason. Maybe they were still great, but it just didn't fit into the realm of the story. Mm-hmm. So what was the selection process like?
Well, we started off filming with a huge group of senior citizens, and we kind of just went door to door in the retirement residence, giving them lessons and filming. And slowly we just started narrowing down based on the people that were most into it, the ones that were picking it up quickly, and the ones that were interesting to watch on camera, and the people that liked being on camera and were kind of warm towards us when the camera was there. Some people just didn't like being in front of the camera, so that helped us narrow them out. And we were just lucky to find some really funny, charismatic senior citizens. And there were some that didn't make the final cut who, were in an edit even a year ago that I just had to cut a few months ago just because there wasn't enough time. But yeah, we were just really lucky with the people that we found.
Yeah, it's an excellent mix. And I like too how they were very open about some of their family situations, mm-hmm. and not holding back, especially too being from a generation that's probably not as open about things. Mm-hmm. I thought that they shared some interesting things.
Yeah, I found, especially with the men, to see men of that age kind of open up and be even a little bit emotional on camera is not something that you're used to seeing. But we had these 90-year-old men who talked about their family with such pride and got a little teary-eyed when they got, a Facebook message. Things like that I thought were really heartwarming.
Saffron, I understand with the film, and I don't want to give too many spoilers away, and this might, for some people watching, so viewer beware, but you had your own family situations within the film. How soon did these situations happen when you began the documentary and your choice to weave them in the story?
Well, about halfway through filming the documentary, my sister was diagnosed with cancer. When we started filming, my grandfather had cancer, and I was going to focus on that storyline because my sisters were the ones that started the program, because they were inspired by my grandparents. So I wanted to keep that story in, and how, the internet has helped my family stay in touch and stay close. So when my sister was diagnosed, it was like, what do we do now? Do we keep filming? And there was a period where we kind of thought, we're not gonna film that. We're not gonna put that in the film. But I don't know, it's strange what happens when you don't know how you're gonna deal with a crisis like that. It kind of becomes your new normal. It was like, I wasn't filming when we were all crying or when something really devastating was happening, but I was at the hospital with her every day. We'd all take turns going to the hospital, and she'd pick up her phone and Skype my grandparents, because they wanted to see her and see how she was doing, and that was our life at the time. So I filmed a bit of it, and it ended up in the film, and I'm really happy that I have that footage because it was really interesting the way the internet helped my sister and my grandfather stay close. They were both going through cancer treatment at the same time. The internet allowed them to kind of check up on one another, and it was this weird bond that they shared, but it was a really kind of sweet relationship that developed.
Yeah, the film definitely shows that, and your sister is doing well today.
Yeah, she's doing very mm-hmm. well. She's in complete remission. She's off at NYU studying, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, congratulations. Yeah, well, my hat's off to you to show that in the film, because I'm sure probably it was difficult, but maybe in some ways you looked at it almost from a new perspective, because it was like you're filming and sometimes you're removed. Mm-hmm. You're more the just this viewer. But yeah, did you have to really discuss amongst your family, should we include this, or was it just like this is part of our lives and we're going to show it. There was no hesitation.
Yeah, there was discussion about it, and there's actually not a ton of footage of that. It's woven throughout that story, but it's not a huge part of the story because I didn't spend hours and hours of filming it. There was just a few moments where I was kind of like, this is a really cute moment, I might as well grab it and put it on camera, and I'm glad I did. And some of those scenes still make us choke up and cry. Even I've seen the film like 200 times, but like,
Right.
Sometimes when I see some of the films between, like the scenes between my sister and my grandfather, it still gets me choked up. But again, I'm glad that I have that, and I think my entire family really actually enjoys seeing it.